Now let's visit with Bonnie Sproul.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Sproul, and welcome to my sewing room, or my studio, or whatever you want to call it. I'm really pleased that I finally have one, because for years and years and years I just sewed at the kitchen table. And finally, Tom helped me build this room so that I could leave my messes here. I started sewing when I was about 13 because we had to take home ec in junior high school, and I'm sure a lot of the rest of you in my age bracket will remember that. You had to take sewing and cooking. So that was in the early 60s, and it was a rural school, so we didn't have a lot of equipment. And they were just getting to the point where they were going from treadle machines to electric machines. So every Wednesday afternoon when we had sewing class, it was just the luck of the draw whether you got a treadle or an electric. And I was so frustrated on those days because I'm not coordinated. That's why I don't play sports. I couldn't make that treadle go and without breaking the thread. So I used electric sewing machines for the last 40 or 50 years, but never had a really good one until I retired. And this was my gift to myself. And I bought a Fav. So I'm happiest when it's going very, very fast. I kind of like to sew, have always sewed, but didn't really quilt until I retired. So I used to make clothes for my daughter, and I've always been making draperies and shades and bed duvets and all that kind of thing. But quilting is the one craft that I have kept with. I have tried every other kind of handicraft that anybody ever thought up. In fact, on one move not long ago, I threw out a great big macrame table thing that I was supposed to hang from the ceiling. But the macrame, like painting, like everything, I just did for a short while. But the quilting has really lasted. And I think it's probably because it's a more social craft. Everything else you kind of do on your own. And I've made so many good friends and had so much fun that I even met a quilter on our recent trip to Europe. She was on this ship, and Tom actually was talking to she and her husband, and he said, she said, well, now what's your wife doing? And he said, she's into crafts. She likes to quilt. And she said, oh my God, we've got to talk. And so I met this lovely quilting lady from California who's very active in her guild, and she actually told me where to go look in Budapest, Hungary for some hand-dyed fabric. So it's a small world when it comes to quilters. I'd like to show you my favorite piece of equipment that I have in my sewing room. It looks very much like an ordinary cutting table, although Janet tells me that it's not high enough, so I have to put cans under the legs. But it's more than meets the eye. You have to really look at this cutting table because it has a dual purpose. And I don't want you to think of anything kinky now when you see this, but I worked in a doctor's office and he was going to throw this out. So here we have the end of the table, and here we have two extensions that all women will recognize. These could be used as wine holders or holders for your curling iron or your
feet.
Yes, that's what it is. It's an examination table that he was going to throw away, and I said, oh, give it to me. I know I can use it somewhere. So I use it for my cutting table, and it's probably pretty unique. I don't know that there are any more of these in sewing rooms, at least in Woodstock.
He doesn't have to know everything. A few secrets keep a marriage fresh as spring. I'll have it in and out of sight in a flash. There are 100 ways to hide your stash. Fill up the cupboard, hide the evidence, pile it in the pantry, spare no expense. Keep it with the kids' clothes, lay it with the wine. Keep it all together where the sun don't shine. Put it in a Safeway bag, bring it in with the groceries. Call it Christmas present, and don't you peek. You're keeping it for a friend who's gone to Calgary. She'll be back soon, no there's none for me. Don't tell him what you owe the store. He might start looking in the dryer.